Welcome back to Hiles Automotive. Today we are working on a 2001 Chevy Cavalier. The story behind this Cavalier goes that we picked it up for 125 bucks. So let's see what $125 gets us today. Here is the 2001 Chevy Cavalier. I don't know what sub model it is, but it's got the 2.2 liter 4-cylinder engine, automatic transmission. Comes with hail dings and dents, some bumps and bruises, and quite a bit of rust. So as you can see on the bottom rockers, we've got rust all along the edges here. Got some 14-inch tires and hubcaps. This wheel here, pretty sure it's in the trunk. We'll do the outside first, and then we'll get into the interior, and then we'll take a look and see what's inside of the trunk and what's underneath the hood. Glass is pretty good. Does have the manual windows. Hubcaps on all 4 wheels. Like I said, that passenger side. Oh, there is some more rust on that bottom rocker there. Not a big deal. Again, $125 does not get you a show car. Glass is good. I don't see any cracks or rock chips or anything like that. The bird poop was free of charge. Was included with the $125, and you can see all the hail dings and dents. So let's move into the interior here. We've got bucket seats up front. Got some fancy seat covers. The cloth does look pretty good. Mileage on this thing was just a little over 100,000 miles, so it is a low mile car. Not exactly sure what happened to the engine. Headliner is good. Visors have seen a little sun and heat. But the actual headliner itself looks pretty good. Back seats are really good condition. I think an elderly lady owned the vehicle. Needs a cleaning, good detail. No big deal there. To that in a little bit here. No, there's the other hubcap. Last registered, well, it says expiration date is good for 7/31 of 2025. Alright, let's get into the trunk here. We've got some parts. Not gonna lie, I did tear into this before I started making the video here, so I did a compression test. Found 3 of the cylinders had 0 compression. And then when I did the cylinder leakage test, I found that either the valves weren't sealing, or head gasket or cylinder head damage has been determined. So the coolant overflow tank, the fender liner. We got a valve cover here. We've got the rocker arms and push rods, spark plugs, bolts, I did have my students take this apart and they bag and tag all the bolts. Oh, got a little Chevrolet sun visor back there. Spare tires included, that's good. We got some brackets, a coil pack. Alright. Let's see what else we got. Let's see what we got under the hood. So cylinder head, again, I've had this apart. Took the cylinder head off, found the damage, had to move the vehicle around in order to take the cylinder head off. The motor mount had to come off, so that I could push the vehicle around. Quickly threw the cylinder head back on, put the motor mount back on, and then I was able to just move the vehicle around. Intake, exhaust manifold and intake manifold both are not bolted up. Power steering is not bolted up. It's just sitting in there by a couple bolts here. So we're gonna dive into this today. Pull the cylinder head apart again. I'll show you the damage on the cylinder head. I'll show you the head gasket. We'll show you the damage. So the first thing I'm gonna do is put a jack underneath the oil pan to support the motor. That way when I take the motor mount off, the motor doesn't just drop down. That would be a bad situation. So put a little bit of pressure on there. And then just so I'm not overstepping this guy, I'm just gonna remove the handle. Here's what I'm going after. Got the motor mount plate here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 nuts and bolts. And then this black piece here will come off the cylinder head. And then I'll take the couple cylinder head bolts I have, and that cylinder head will come off. So here's what I'm going after. Got the motor mount plate here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 nuts and bolts. And then this black piece here will come off the cylinder head. And then I'll take the couple cylinder head bolts I have, and that cylinder head will come off. So $15mm bolts here. These all should be 15mm as well. Maybe a D12 is needed. And if any of my students are watching, you should always use the black impact sockets, not these chrome ones. So if you're watching, you do as you're told, not as you see. one cylinder head. I'll show you on the bench what we have going on. So here is the cylinder head. I've got significant amount of damage. Bring this up closer so you can see. I don't know if you can see it that well, but the part of the metal has been burned away, almost like you took a torch to it and just burned some of the spots off here. So when I did a compression test, I found 0 compression on cylinders 2, 3, and 4. And cylinder 1 only had like 30 or 40 psi. The head gasket is this guy here, and you can see all the way burned through. So right around here would be the sealing area for each cylinder. If you look closely at this one, you can see it's starting to burn through. We got some exhaust gases that had made its way from cylinder 2 to 3. Flip it over on the back side, and you can see that there was a little bit starting from cylinders 1 to 2. So low compression because of that, 0 compression because we were losing most of our compression through the head gasket. And then this one here, of course, 0 on this one as well. It was surprisingly, there was not any coolant in the oil. I'm guessing it just ran rough and it, I don't know, burned the coolant from this cylinder to this cylinder. I thought for sure I'd find a chocolate milkshake in that oil when I drained it, but I did not. So the next thing, So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check this flatness of the cylinder head here. So I don't want it to leak again after I put it all together. I've already spent like 80 bucks on a head gasket set. I went to Oak Leaf Auto in Hartford, South Dakota, and found a cylinder head. I spent about $95 on that, $100 plus tax. So I don't want to have to redo this. I've got some time and money invested into it, and I don't want to have to redo it. So to do a thorough job, check to make sure that this is flat. I don't know what kind of vehicle this came out of or what the cause was, why this vehicle was taken apart. So I'm going to make sure I make sure that it's flat. So what I'm going to do is take a straight edge, just a flat piece of metal that's been machined nice and true and flat. I'll stick this on the cylinder head, and then I will run a feeler gauge or a thickness gauge underneath and see how flat and true this cylinder head is. Before I do that, I gotta make sure I get all this gunk and grime off of here. I don't know how well you can see it on the camera. Oh, there we go. But it's got some carbon deposits and buildup from the old gasket material and stuff. I want to sand that down and get that nice and flat and true again. So I'm just going to take a flat belt sanding block here and go over this several times, get it nice and flat. now that I got this all sanded out, I want to go over this couple different spots here. I'm going to take my smallest feeler gauge, and it looks like on this set it's going to be a 1/1000, so 0.001 inches. And then I'm going to go over several spots. And see if it goes underneath. If it does go underneath, I'm going to go up to the next thickness. So I had a couple spots on this that it went underneath. So then I would take my 002 2000s thickness, and it does go underneath there. So I think for specification, it allows me to go up to 3000s. And then anything more than that, machine work is required. I would have to double check those specifications. You can go kitty corner to corner. So this one needs to be taken to the machine shop and ran on a belt sander, or I don't really know what the name of the actual machining tool is called, but I need to have this flattened out. While it's there, I'll have them do a vacuum seal over each of the valves to make sure that the valves are sealing, and just make sure it's ready to go. And then once I get it back from the machine shop, we'll throw it on. I mean, set it in place with the gasket, new bolts, and then we'll take care of this thing.